You can only act. Act, act, act. Don't you notice if you just act, you're not trying to figure out what's better. If you're thinking, you are in such thick doership, so focused in on the results that you choose not to act. The risk is in the ego. Why we don't act, why we don't risk, is because what will someone say if I don't succeed? Taking a risk to act, whatever the consequence, will bring you more tranquility. Jai Gurudev. All right. So we'll start with chapter 6. Mala, let's go ahead and start the chanting.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na chakriyaha.
Shri Bhagwan said, "He who does his duty without expecting the fruit of actions is a sannyasi, a Sankhya yogi, and a yogi, karma yogi both." He, Bhagwan is saying this, who does his duty without expecting the fruit of actions. Chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5 in different ways has been speaking about what? Karma yoga. Action without getting attached to the fruit, correct? Yes, this is, it's sort of like a review of it a little bit, at least that's what it feels like as I read it. He who does his duty without expecting the fruit of action is a sannyasi and a yogi, meaning a karma yogi both. Why is he saying this? Remember in the previous chapter, Arjun asked which one is better, karma yoga or Sankhya yogi. Do you remember that? And then his answer very early on in that chapter was, both are the same, they lead to the same place. So he's in a way repeating it. But you know what? As I read it, when we think of a sannyasi, what do we normally think of? Put on some white robes and go into the mountains and sort of let go of action. Isn't that our general idea of a sannyasi? Yes or no? Right? But he's saying something completely different here. Who is a sannyasi? Someone who is not attached to the fruit of their action. I think it was in chapter 3. I don't remember the verse, but maybe verse 4 or 5. What did Lord Krishna say? You cannot even be without action for a second. That is not possible. You blink your eye, that's action. There's activity. Digestion, there's activity. You sit down and stand up, there's activity. Correct? It's not possible. Inherent in life is you must act. Even to meditate, there is action required. So what is he saying? It must have distorted somewhere later on that the notion of a sannyasi is putting on orange or white robes or any kind of robes and then going off into the mountain and not doing anything. But really think about it. Look at the swamis anywhere in any order or any tradition. They do a lot of activity. It's usually service, maybe hospitals, schools, like, swamis in our organization teaching. It's Gurudev himself. Correct? So much activity is done. So what is being defined here is a Sankhya yogi, meaning a sannyasi is who acts. There's no choice about that. Who does all that there is to be done, but is not attached to the fruit. Why? Because just because you're a sannyasi doesn't mean you've arrived, doesn't mean you're established. They still also need to purify prior karma, Man, buddhi, and ahankar. They still need to purify the intellect, the memory, and the ego. And so, as a sannyasi, they do as much action as a householder will, a karma yogi, if you want. What he's clearly saying is it's not nishkriya. It's not that you're trying to run away from activity. What happens? Nishkriya, if you really think about it, is a Sankhya yogi, one who is established in the knowledge. Remember what I said last time? What is a Sankhya yogi's mindset? It's all God. Are you remembering this? Do you recall that? Everything is God. That's how they come. Their mindset is whatever is happening, you are God, I am God, action is God, everything is God. That is the one who is practicing or moving from the path of knowledge or wisdom. A karma yogi does what? Does activity, does action, doesn't come from it's all God, but does it for God or in service to another, or is not attached to the fruit of action. This much we are clear about, correct? But as we do all the action that we're supposed to, whether you want to call ourselves a karma yogi or a Sankhya yogi, and which one it is dependent on your gunas. You also remember that, correct? Which Arjuna is specifically asking, and Arjuna is what? Rajagun is dominant. He is a Kshatriya. He's hardwired to do and act and achieve and conquer and all those things. Just like we are. There's a difference between, think about, Arjun and Janak would be what? Karma yogi. But Lord Mahavir, for instance, would be what? Contemplative. He would be a Sankhya yogi. Do you see the distinction? Yes or no? Can you give me some little, because you're just really... So we are more along the line of Arjun. But as we do a lot of action with the vow that we have spoken about, non-attachment to the fruit, doership drops, I am not the doer, we come to this place, action, result, it's all God, and then we actually experience action as a happening. At some point, then we say, I didn't do it. It's happening through me. I don't know. And honestly, I tell you, people ask me 1,000 ways and 1,000 times, what made you do what you were doing? Why did you leave law? Why did you leave your home? What would make you stay in India? Why would you? I wasn't like thinking and planning and figuring why. There was no why. It was just sort of taken over. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Because if you ask me why, and if I had to think through my logic, no room, no place to hang your bag, cleaning toilet from 300 kids who come from the village to go to the school. Why would somebody do that? There is no why. It was all a happy. Oh, how did you go from Bangalore to Gujarat or to Delhi? Weren't you scared? How did that happen? When the bombings were going on, what made you do it? When you knew, Guruji said, get out in the Kobe earthquake. It's all a happening. Looking back, we create cause and effect. But for me, it's a very, very clear experience. And I think we all have that. Forget seva. Just look back in your life. Why did you become an engineer? Why did you become a lawyer? Why did you become a doctor? You kind of looking back at it, but in the moment, you were led there. Do you have this experience or not? Yes or no? What made you be a lawyer, Raj? I don't know. The truth of the matter is, I wanted to do biomedical engineering. It was too late. Why? Because I didn't do Calc 2. It was a requirement, Calculus 2. And in order for me to do Calculus 2, I would have had to skip an entire year and then only apply for what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to waste another year. This supposedly is the reason. Are you listening to me? And then I had on the other side my father saying, "Beta, if you don't get married, you'll be too old. Nobody will marry you. You'll have glasses. You got to get married." He had his mindset because it would have been 11 more years, including residency and this and that, university, graduate school, etc. So he was thinking, well, she'll be old by that time. So when you are in college, you're 18, 19, 20 years old, 11 years is more than half your life in a certain way. So to add one more year, if you don't have an adult who's saying, "Oh, come on, 1 year, what is that? You're going to be living 70, 80 years. Well, nothing, go for it." When you don't have that, my mind at least was saying, "Wow, 1 more year, I'll be really old." So I didn't want to finish Calc 2 by waiting around for a year. So I didn't know what to do. I walked into the university cafeteria. It was packed. I saw one table with 3 empty chairs and one girl sitting there who was in one of my classes, Tammy Carlin. Funny, I still remember her name. Say, "Hey, Tammy, can I sit here?" Yes, I sat next to her and I saw a stack of books on the table and it said LSAT. I had never heard of LSAT. I was, about to graduate university. It was like 3 years had already gone. I was already into my 4th year practically. Never heard of LSAT. I heard of MCAT. Never heard of LSAT. What is this? Oh, she said, they're the LSATs. What are those? I'm studying to be a lawyer. Of course, I heard the word lawyer, but exactly what they do had never registered. My family is medical. So there was no opening in there about what is a lawyer. So I said to her, "Well, what do lawyers do?" And this is her answer: anything they want. That's where it started. Anything they want. What do you mean? Yeah, they could go entertainment law, they could do corporate law, they could do international, they could do criminal, they could do contract. Somehow I heard the titles as the activity, not the word law. Do you understand what I'm saying? Entertainment meant in layman's term, entertainment. Oh, corporate world. Okay, international. Oh, that means travel around. It's all contracts. That didn't register. So I said, wow, do you see how it's happening? It's not thinking. It's not cause and effect as it appears to be. If I tell the story, you would think I was an idiot. I was, because the mind was not making the decision. I heard anything it wants in a way that was never intended by her and could never have been meant or understood by a listener if she was at all present with her intellect. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So I said, "Oh, I want to do that. What do I need to do?" She said, "You have to take the LSATs, but it's probably too late because the exam is around the corner and I've been preparing for this for 4 months. Really? Yeah, they're like MCATs. Oh, then I understood, entrance exam. Okay, well, tell me. And then I left from there. I'm just trying to show you how much life is a happening. I left from there. I'm doing action. I find a friend. I get application forms. I somehow fill out the application for LSATs. I send it overnight mail, not just regular mail, just to get it in time somewhere, somehow. And now I have to study for LSATs in a short amount of time. What do? Oh, she's joined Kaplan. Too late to join Kaplan, nor do I have the money to join Kaplan. Okay, so I get one of those thick books. What do? I go do the exam in the back. And I make a decision in my head. I will apply to 5 schools, whatever my LSAT scores are. If I get in, I'll do law. If I don't get in, I'll take Calc 2 and work in between. It looks like I'm planning. Yes or no? It appears like there's cause and effect. Yes? But there's no cause. Oh, okay, I'll do LSAT. Where's the cause? I was just looking for a chair. That's all, just a chair. And some stupid girl who was in my class, "Ooh, I'm doing LSAT. You can do anything you want." Maybe she even didn't know what she was saying. I don't know. I went and took the LSATs. I applied to 5 schools that I could afford to apply to because there's application fees. I got in and I went to law school. It's an insane thing. And suddenly I was in law. Oh, okay. I had no clue. Case studies, laws, rules, deduction, nothing. I had no idea. You know? All right. I'm sitting in America. My father came to America because of Idi Amin. Is there a cause and an effect there? It's a happening. Idi Amin coming into my father's life in Uganda at the time he was living there is a happening, a circumstance by which he then gets into a flight that he got pushed into to land in New York City. He didn't sit there saying, "What should I do? The world is chaotic here. I got to get out. Where do I go?" He just was running. And he basically, some people got pushed into flights that landed in London. And he got pushed into a flight that landed in New York. I'm a refugee. That's how I got to the United States. Can you see that life is really a happening? But you cannot say that, just like Gurudev said, too soon. Laziness comes. A Sankhya yogi, one who is contemplating, who's an introvert, maybe that's not the correct word, but antarmukhi, whose awareness is generally inward. You know, this person perhaps will move direction of knowledge. But even that person has to act. Are we clear? Or somebody like us will have karma yoga. Action, action, action while we are householders with the awareness, this is prasad, whatever comes to me, I will take. Okay, this is whatever you do, make it for the good of the world. That is karma yoga in a short sense. Now that doesn't mean go give everything, but having a sense of offering. Before you sit down to eat. No, in India there's a thing, I remember this. First and foremost, before you sit, you offer it to God. Correct? And then what? Some amount is removed for a cow. That's what I remember. Do you recall that? Anybody recall doing that? Yes. Some amount of food, a little portion from your plate is removed for Gai Mata. Really. Mother. Gai means cow. Mata, mother. And then the last portion is removed for a dog. Do you recall that? Do you see? You've now done Karma Yoga. It was an inherent practice in life. We've lost all of that, so we just sit down to eat. Even if before you eat, before you do any action, if you were to say, Namo Narayana, thank you, like Guruji says, for giving me this opportunity to even act, to have a chance to go to work. Now you are free. At the end of the action, you say, however, the kayena vacha manasendri era buddhyatmanava. You know that in what is it? Sanyam. Whatever this body has done, whatever is gone on in this mind, whatever this intellect has been thinking, judging, deciding, making choices, manasendriya, buddhyatmana, prakriti, whatever it is that I have been led to do through prakriti. Remember that verse already. Through the 3 gunas, Rajav, Tamas, and Sattva guna, whatever I have been led to do, Samarpayami Narayana, I give it back to you. Just even if it's just a concept, start of the day, whatever this day may bring, however this day may be, you lead me there. It's your choice. The gunas will drive me there, and you act. And at the end of the day, as the day closes, just having this sense, whatever has happened through this body, through this mind, through this intellect, hey Prabhu, I offer it back to you. What does that do? Maybe it's not actually karma yoga, but it does help purify man, chitta, ahankar. Is this clear to you? That little awareness helps to purify. And when we purify all this knowledge that we listen to from Gurudev, that we do manana on, that we discuss, that we hear, starts to establish. Then we start to establish in it's all God, it's all you. Are we clear? Yes, that is that first verse. Let me see. He is no sannyasi, a renouncer, who has merely renounced the sacred fire. Running away from life, oh, I'm going to be a sannyasi. You know, sometimes it's running away from life to be, quote, a full-time teacher because you think you're going to do seva. Lord Krishna is saying that person is not a sannyasi. You go, you be a full-time teacher, or you, quote, not a householder, but you're focused more, you will still also act. Act how? Without focusing on the fruit. Doership has to drop. Can you understand for both? When you say it's all God, then you are not the doer. Who is the doer? The Lord. And when you do karma yoga, eventually it's not that you drop action, you drop the attachment to the fruit. And as you drop the attachment to the fruit, what happens? I am the doer drops. Which leads you back to it's all divine. It's all a happening. This piece is important. We have to get really clear. Are you clear about what I'm sort of again and again coming back to from different directions? Are we clear? Focus on the attachment of the fruit creates more doership. Hai toba, I gotta do this. What if it doesn't happen? Do you see that karta bhav develops? It grows more and more and more. I don't know. It may not work out. So you see yourself as the enjoyer of the good fruit and the enjoyer of the not so good fruit. The challenges. Clear? Yeah. He is no sannyasi who has merely renounced the sacred fire. Sacred fire means everything happens through some heat, some intention, some movement. No? Even so, he is no yogi who has merely given up all activity. This is clear, no? This verse is very, very clear. All right. Number 2.
यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुर्योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पो योगी भवति कश्चन.
Arjuna, you must know that what they call sannyasa is no other than yoga. For none becomes a yogi who has not abandoned his sankalp or thoughts of the world. Both have to, it's some degree of rerun from prior chapters. You do understand this, you do see this. Remember, why is this coming up again and again? Because Arjuna is still struggling to get out of having to act. He's still struggling to say, oh Lord, first you tell me knowledge is greater than action. So why don't I just do knowledge and why don't I just disappear and go and do sannyas? And then the Lord speaks and says, no, you know what? Yoga, meditation, karma yoga, because he does say that this is better. One who goes deep into the knowledge is better than karma yoga. This is how Arjuna is saying. So he's still trying to escape, and the Lord is again and again coming back to act. It's very interesting. I notice that whenever I do any knowledge session or any, sort of question and answer, I notice that I often come back to saying to people, stop thinking, just act. I think like people like Pramod who hear me again and again would would sort of attest to this idea that I come back to saying, because people will say, how do I do this? How do I stop thinking? How do I get my mind to be quiet? How do I decide which is better? Don't you hear these sort of questions in the question basket continuously? And Gurudev, in his own way, I know that I use this word action repeatedly. You cannot think through what is better. You can only act. Act, act, act. Don't you notice if you just act, you're not trying to figure out what's better. If you're thinking, you are in such thick doership, so focused in on the results that you choose not to act. For fear. I don't want to do it. I don't know. I'm just scared. It might fail. It might be a mistake. It might be the wrong thing. I might regret it. So we don't act. But the only way out is through action. And I say out in the worldly sense, and I say out in terms of moksha also, liberation. And the entire Gita is for what? To get one guy to act, and for the rest of us to realize the value of action, and in risking to just act, because the risk is not in the action. What you get is decided by something other than yourself. The risk is in the ego. Why we don't act, why we don't risk, is because what will someone say if I don't succeed? If you remember chapter 1, Arjuna's whole conversation was, this is not good, it's not good for me, what will be the thing? People will say, that's all that there has been. Ego doesn't allow us to ask. The risk is not in the action, the risk is in the ego. And so this chapter, as it's called meditation, when I heard Gurudev go through the other things, it's about meditation and self-control or mind control, if you want to use that word. Did you hear the connection, what I'm saying to you? The risk is in the ego. The risk is mental. We build a whole mountain in our mind because we're afraid to act because of others' opinion. So we constantly look for validation. We procrastinate. We delay. And later on, as you already know from Gurudev's commentary, he's going to get into how mind becomes the enemy and how it's a friend. You have to take responsibility and the way for your mind. And the way we take responsibility is don't sit there, don't procrastinate. Move into action. Is this clear? We'll stop here for now, but I don't know why. I just tell you something. 99% of the people don't know the difference between doing and thinking, planning. And if you say, so what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to plan it all out. No, that's thinking on a piece of paper. I really want to start my business and I've been thinking about it for 10 years and this and that. I want to sell my house and I've been thinking, I want to build my, what are you going to do about it? I'm going to do research. I'm going to plan it out and I'll do research every Monday. No, that's thinking with a computer. Oh, I'm going to just, really, it's very strange how often people do not know what it means to concretize action. It sounds strange to you, but I promise you, if you were to give me an example, I'm trying to get through this, and I would say, okay, so what are you going to do? Give me 3 things you can do. I promise you, you will give me mental states. I'll become more aware. I'll be more present. I'll focus more on it. Those are not actions. That's mental mindset. You need to control it. You need to be responsible. You're avoiding action. If on the advanced course, when people give advices to themselves, how they have to write a letter, write 5 advices to yourself. There's inevitably I'm going to do my sadhana regularly. Okay. And I'll say, so what are the 3 things that you will absolutely do? I'm just going to make sure that I'm really present. No, but what? I'll set my alarm at 5. I'll sit up at 5. That's action. I'll be more present is not action. I do so much thinking. I need to stop. And I say, okay, do 3 things. Exercise will help you. Eating differently will help you. Singing, dancing will help you. What are you going to do? I'll live in the present moment. That is not actionable. Even though you give 4 solid ideas of what is action, it doesn't register. Why? The moment you get clear to commit to action, you are now responsible for the consequence. And which consequence are you afraid of? Not that you fail, that others will say you failed. That's why Don't Be a Football is part of the basic course. It's such a huge driver in life. Are you hearing me? No? It's there in the background. I mean, this chapter is literally, meditation does what? It brings tranquility to the mind. Correct? Gurudev spoke about that peace, tranquility. Those other verses is about mind control. You have to be responsible for what goes on in your head. Do you lean into the mind which takes you away, or do you lean into the thoughts and the mind that brings you more to your tranquility? Action, taking a risk to act, whatever the consequence, will bring you more tranquility. There's nothing worse than not risking. It activates more thinking, and it's generally negative. It becomes more fear-based. Am I clear? This piece, we can just close this chapter, because sit properly and all those things I don't need to get into. It's addressing your own mind and saying, I don't care what you say, I'm going for it. Not allowing fear to run you. Clear? Okay, we'll stop here. I do have a small meeting after, but I'll take a question or a comment if it's there. Do you have anything? Any comment? Any question? Sunanda, go ahead, please.
It's just precious, Didi. This is something I experience every day, about how much is done in the mind and nothing actually comes into play. I call it petrification, and this fear that stops action from happening. And I remember also what you shared, especially on the Padayatra, of, universe rewards action. And that helps a lot of the times move from that petrified state to just taking that step forward in the action.
Yes. Look, I so appreciate you sharing that, because anybody who, and if you overthink before you act, what do you notice? It only grows bigger. The hesitation, maybe that's what you call it, cautiousness, if you want to call it that, fear, worry, procrastination, paralyzing, that only grows bigger. The difference between, a successful business person, business as in the world, is the one who goes for it versus the one who thinks about it. That's all. It's not that the successful person is that much smarter and has that many more resources or has the right skin color or is born in the right neighborhood. This is not me saying that. This is neuroscience. Research is saying that. I'm not saying those things do not impact and affect. I'm saying those are not the decision makers. That is not the decisive factors. I told you it's an ego risk. It is not anything else. But this thing is asking you to get past it. So act, act, act. And it's not because it's us. It's human nature not to want to act, right? This isn't just talking to Art of Living people. We're just talking mind in general, using examples within what we are all familiar with. You see it in offices. You're concerned, you see people getting in the elevator, you're coming running, and you see the person you don't want to, maybe they're your boss or boss's boss. Have you seen people? They slow down or they kind of look, suddenly go to the right or the left to not get in the elevator. True or false? Yes or no? Yes. Focused on the fruit, not on the action. I had seen a hand up. Perhaps it was Vishal. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yes. Yeah, Didi. My question was, so this is all about spontaneous action without really overanalyzing. And
No,
that is,
it's not spontaneous. Spontaneity is happening, meaning life is leading you, but that comes later. That is true what you're saying, but that comes later. Remember what I said. You do the action, you do the action. Eventually you come to saying, wow, life is a happening. It's all a happening. That's like saying, I'm not, that's hands up. It's all God's will,
yeah, but
right?
that's after the fact.
Yes, but that's after the fact.
Yeah.
The beginning steps are, do your duty and do your action. If you're a boss, you have to act. Don't shy away from it. Don't run away from it. Why do we run away? Because we're looking at the result. If it doesn't happen, our ego gets bruised before we even take action. So we choose not to act, or we reduce our action. Instead of making a phone call at 8 in the evening, which is a reasonable hour, perhaps they've had dinner already, or Saturday at 11, we call, at 12 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. We know nobody's going to pick up the phone at 12 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, especially if it says Art of Living. We shy away from the action that we know is best to do our kartavya, our duty. That it's in any role you think, as a spouse, as a parent, as a sibling, as a mother, a child, boss, employee, colleague, friend, citizen. Arjun is being asked to be, quote, brave and act in spite of the results. And that's if you contact me, you want to ask me, I'm going to ask you to do the same. Why? Not because I'm attached or invested, because that's my kartavya. You just put me in a position to lead you and guide, then this is what I'm going to do. And then it sounds harsh. No, what do you mean? How can you lead? You're not even in sattva at that moment. What creates results in life? Sattva creates results, and organizing happens through wisdom and knowledge. What does that mean? It's not reading the thing, it's looking at the big picture. When you look at the big picture, you are organizing through knowledge, through wisdom. Then you are in sattva, not tamas, and certainly not rajas. This is not going to yield results that you want. It will give you temporary gain. And he talks about that also. We have been through this already. You know, follow the path that you're walking. You're walking the path of a devotee and an instrument of his work. His means Gurudev, of course, which is the same. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm simply encouraging you here to say, don't worry about how it is. Don't worry what someone will say. Hold your truth, internal voice, and go for it. But yeah, go for it. You know, get a hathi. You ever seen Modi walking? Dude, they gotta walk like a hathi and take a few with you. You know, something gets in the way, pop. What gets in the way when I say something? It's these. It's the mind. Nothing else is in the way. I'm talking about this, you know. Otherwise, we fall back onto the same approach, the same approach. Has it worked? Just because the room is full, that we never look at fallout from tamasic or rajasic actions. We don't look at that. Rajas and tamas creates both sides of the equation. You will get some gain. Rajas will create some gain, but it also will create fallout. We never look at fallout. A smart businessman does. We have so much, you have so much. The fact that you have a guru and that you're focused and that you're interested, just see, the Lord is with me. What am I going to be afraid of? किस चीज से मैं डरूंगा? किस चीज को मैं रोकूंगा? What noise am I going to listen to in my head? No, 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 no. No, I'm just going to walk this hathi, you know? Okay, well, God bless you.
Jai Gurudev, Didi. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.